I got you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Can you hear me? Say yes. All right, welcome here, guys. Thank you so much. My name is Satem Mangali. I'm one of the owners of Elite Performance Prep Academy. So much gratitude to our tech team. How about a round of applause for them? Thank you, thank you. And for Barry, who's in Bible study, and Nia and Cap, and Fusi and everyone, guys, thank you. Give them a round of applause, please. Thank you so much for being here. So for the next little bit, here's my request of you. Regardless of what you know about education, the public school system, homeschool, micro school, regardless of whatever you've been, like you have this perspective or perception of it, my request of you is that you will listen with an open heart and an open mind so that you can see what might be possible for you. Can you guys do that? Can you do that for me? Just be super open. Everyone say, I'll be open. Say it one more time. Say, I'll be open. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because if you'll listen, not just with your eyes, not just with your ears, but you listen with your heart and soul, I promise you by the time we're done with this evening, whether or not you do the micro schooling, whether or not you do homeschooling, you will have an experience tonight listening to myself as well as Elite Financial, as well as Fusi and Matt and Lola, as well as my business partner Tasha. You'll have an experience that will shift the way you see yourself, the way you see children, the way you see education, but more importantly, the way you see what's possible for your futures. That said, thank you so much for being here. My name is Setema. A little bit about me. No, I'm not The Rock's stunt double. I get that a lot, but I'm not him, okay? I played football at Brigham Young University. I see BYU. Yeah. I had a little bit of time with the New England Patriots. Any Patriots fans in here? Are we all like 49ers? 49ers, okay. All right, I got you. I grew up a 49ers fan too. And I've been in business for the last 20 years of my life. Over the last 13 years, I have been a coach, a mentor, a speaker, and I transform lives. That's what I do. I meet people where they're at. I ask them some real questions, like I say, tell the truth and stop lying. And I ask them point blank, are you happy with your life? Is what you're doing working, whether it's financially, physically, spiritually, relationally? And then I coach and mentor. We've transformed tens of thousands of lives in my organization. And in the last year, I'm going to introduce now, talk about my business partner. So I run these what I call immersions, a boot camp. So people show up at 5 in the morning and we're making a plank and we're doing push-ups and we transform their world inside of a full week. This incredible woman here, Tasha, she signed up for the program. And it was not cheap. And at the time, she was driving the Amazon truck. Who in here uses Amazon? Raise your hand. I know y'all use Amazon because you just call this. We need something, let's order it on Amazon. Tasha probably delivered it to your house. Just kidding.
It was me.
So she shows up to our experience. She goes through the whole week. She goes all in. So inspiring for me to see this woman who came through, who saved every penny, came through a difficult experience. And she, inside of our, what I call a mastermind, right? These are our group of people, like almost like a church, where we have people in there that are trying to get better. She says, I have this vision and this dream. Kind of like Martin Luther King, I have a dream. Well, she didn't quite say it like that, but she talked about this concept of teaching children how to become their best self, teaching children how to critically think and ask questions, teaching children how to see themselves with a high self-esteem and high concept, and teaching children how to dream big and how to go get it. Because how many of you know what I'm talking about? Today, our kids do this. They pull out the cell phone, they look at social media, or they watch YouTube or TikTok, and they just see all kinds of stuff that's not the best for them. You guys know what I'm talking about? Raise your hand. It's not good. It's like we were talking about, it's like this is drugs, like having kids be exposed to this. So this incredible woman here tells me about this idea. And my kids at the time, did not want to be in public schools. In fact, my kids would come home and say, Dad, please, please take us out of public schools. Please take us out. And I'm like, why? Like, they're like, the things that we see, the things that we hear, the materials that we see on people's cell phones. My boys didn't have phones. The language, the bullying. They'd go to school in our home where we pray, we worship, we love, we hug. Like, then they go to school and they get this experience for 8 hours a day, and then they come home. And my boys were asking me, Dad, please take us out of school. I didn't want to homeschool because I work, and my boy's mom, right, she's like, I don't know how to homeschool. Enter Tasha, this idea. Long story short, I pulled my boys out 1 year ago right now. Pulled them out of school in April. And the public school says, well, if you're gonna pull them out to homeschool them, you have to start the whole semester over. And my boys were like, we'll do it. Tasha took them in like 4 weeks through a whole semester, and my boys said, we love it. They fell in love with homeschooling. I'm gonna introduce again this incredible woman who is a mother, a leader, a visionary. We have over, close to 200 students in multiple states inside of our center. She's gonna talk about what Elite is, but I'll just say it like this. If there is any part of you that knows where my child is getting educated right now, whether it's public, whether it's charter, or whether it's private, I can tell you right now, if you knew what was happening in those schools, it would make you shake and shiver like, oh my gosh, the things that our children are exposed to, it's not helping them. What you're gonna hear tonight is not just a concept and a dream, it is a reality of how we help focus on the whole child, how we help the children to critically think and ask questions, whether they're learning life skills, character, or entrepreneurial skills, and helping them to dream again. Imagine your child every day striving, setting goals, becoming the best they can be, and learning how to be kind, and learning how to not only achieve, but to be in alignment with core values, the things that matter. I'm excited for you to listen to my business partner, because what she has built inside of Elite Performance Prep Academy is changing the game. Right now we have a handful of centers. We want to bring a number of centers here to the Bay Area, and her vision, our vision as an organization, 500 micro-schooling centers across the country, getting our children back to learn what's most important, and sending children out into the world to be not just workers, nothing wrong with being a worker, but to be contributors, to be human beings that are built to serve and to make a difference. And it's my honor to bring to the stage she's gonna knock your socks off, because once you hear what she's done, most people are like, okay, how do we sign up? So please, would you do me a huge favor? Put your hands together for my business partner, Tasha Sua.
Thank you so much, partner. Thank you guys for being out here. So grateful to be back out here in the Bay. I might as well just, move residency over here. Love it. All the hospitality. Shout out to Barry for hooking us up with this church again, as well as Kepenia, Matt Lola, and Fusi Ta'anga, which you guys will get to meet in a little bit. So who is Tasha? Even though I have a lot of family here, I'm gonna pretend that you guys don't know me. I'm actually gonna it's important for you guys to know about Elite and to know my story and how Elite even got started. Because it's really important to know the journey, because everything that I've experienced in my life has been combined to create what is now what we know as Elite Performance Prep Academy. So like my business partner just said, mother of 8, 2 stepchildren and 6 biological. So these are my 6 right here. And we live right now in Las Vegas, born and raised in LA. And so definitely a Cali girl at heart. So glad to be back home. So these babies, they are my world, and they are my why, like all of you parents, which is why you are here right now. You're looking for an alternative to what you have right now, what you've experienced in the school setting. So there's a couple different times in my life that really motivated me to make really big life decisions And some of them at the time, I had no idea why I was making these decisions, but all of it really went back to the root of what was non-negotiable for me in my life. As a mom, I have stepped away 2 different times in my life. Going back, I have 17 years of experience in education. So I've started with troubled youth. I worked with troubled youth for quite some time. And then when I moved to California, I worked as a director of student affairs at a college. I ran 2 college campuses out there, and I absolutely loved it. But there was 2 different times in my careers that I walked away from a very handsome salary because I had these moments where, you know, I'm working and working and working. And those of you guys who know, you know, you're in a salary job, and you can only work so many hours that you start to look at yourself and say, am I living my life's purpose right now? And am I doing the things that I would know that I was meant to do, number 1, but then number 2, am I spending it with the time with the people that mean the most to me? And so both times, I actually went and gave my 2 weeks notice, and was like, you know, I felt really heavy in my heart that this was not my calling. I wasn't really sure yet where it was leading me, but I left those 2 careers.
So can I share something real quick?
Yeah.
So first of all, I hope you can hear this. Some of you today, like, just learn from what Tasha's sharing. You're at a critical junction in your life, whether it's with a job, whether it's with relationships, maybe for some of you, whether it's just with your health. There's a point where you just have to decide, like she felt, I can't keep doing this. That's probably the first lesson I'd say, like, to learn from Tasha's. If you're at a place in your life right now where you know, I gotta do something different, have the courage to go. She walked away from 2 different jobs, great salaries, like successful by today's standards. But she had the courage to leave. I hope that you will find in your heart the courage to make those critical decisions. Back to you, partner.
Thank you. So there was part of that, there was a story where, well, there's a time where when I was working this high salary paying job at the college, I would come home from school. My oldest at the time, she was in 3rd grade, and I'd get home, you know, later, and I'd sit at the front at the kitchen table, and we're doing 4 hours of homework together. 4 hours of homework for a 3rd grader who's been at school for 8 hours a day. And I was like, it was ruining my relationship with her, and she wasn't my only child, so imagine I had to do that quite a few times. So this particular daughter, she got school, it was easy to her, and she still had 4 hours of homework. And then the next one right behind her, her name's Marley, she was my shy baby, super shy, and she wouldn't raise her hand in class because she didn't want to slow people down. And so because she just had a confidence issue and she wouldn't raise her hand, all of a sudden she started to slide backwards. Now, with her sliding backwards more and more, the teachers would send letters home to me, she needs to do more at home, she needs to do this, and constantly telling me, and oftentimes in front of her, she's behind, she's slow. So she starts to think this is who she is, that she's not a good student, that she's not smart. So I, not really knowing that there was different options or not knowing what to do and trying to serve this child, I actually requested an IEP 2 times for her. I requested it, and I was like, if you guys are telling me she's this far behind, we have to get her other resources.
What's an IEP?
Oh, great question. IEP is an individualized education plan. So it's for students who need accommodations, who might not learn like other students. It could be something like taking the time limit off a time test, or being able to, you know, listen to the questions, things like that. There's different accommodations for IEPs. So both times they told me that no, she didn't qualify, but it was a great public school that she happened to go to, so they were trying really hard to help her. So they came up with a solution, and they're like, oh, we got it. We're gonna pull her out of class and get her with a small group of 10 students so that she can absorb it better. And then, so they would do that and teach her at a much smaller group, but they removed her from the general class. So when they put her back in to go take tests, now she's even further behind because she missed regular class time with everybody else. So it's just this perpetuating cycle that, you know, I was getting frustrated, and I was made to feel like I was failing my child. I was a single mom at the time, and I was doing my best. I had my nanny, like, okay, we gotta do this, do these reps. But at the end of the day, the one that felt the smallest was my daughter. So that was an eye-opener, and I didn't like how that felt, and I didn't like how, just the contrast in both students. I have this straight A student, child, and then I have one who's, on the other side of the spectrum, and neither one of them were being taught how they needed to be. So fast forward, that was right before I moved to Las Vegas. In 2020, I moved to Las Vegas, and I looked up the statistics. Like any good mom, I looked up the education out there, and we were like 52 out of 50. That's how bad Las Vegas was. I was joking, guys. We were like dead last, but it was low. And I was at this point. I remember looking at the stats, and I was like, my kids are going to slide backwards if I put them in public school. So I came up with a great idea, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to homeschool them. And just so you guys know, I was not the homeschool mom, like at all. I wanted nothing to do with homeschool. I didn't know about homeschool, but the thought of me stepping away from the corporate world, which I was used to, moving up the ladder, coming home and just being home with my kids and trying to teach them at different levels, that worried me. So everybody laughed at me, especially my mom. I chuckled quite a bit, and we're like, we're gonna see how this goes. So
let me ask you a question. Who in here has ever thought about homeschooling your kids? Raise your hand. Okay, so some of you are like, man, maybe I should homeschool my children. And I appreciate the honesty. Let's be real, like if you've ever had that thought, you might have been like, can I really do this? And you're about to hear again, wherever there's a problem, if it's a real problem, there's a solution. And if there's a solution, we can get better and better. And I just love what Tasha's about to share with y'all. So
thank you. So I hit a moment. So I started homeschooling, and everybody in the community kind of started finding out, hearing what I was doing. And slowly, one by one, they're like, hey, can I send my kid to you too? Can I send my kid? Next thing you know, I had 14 kids in my living room, from kindergarten all the way to a senior in high school. And I loved it. We worked so fast. And this is where my eyes really opened to the homeschool world. I was like, what are we doing in public school? Because homeschoolers, you actually move through the curriculum super quickly. For those of you who homeschool, you know what I'm talking about. And we had fun. We were able to add a lot more to our curriculum. And I was like, you know what? I offered to my kids the next year, I said, hey, you guys can go back to public school if you miss it, the social, part of it. And all of them were begging to stay home. So I was like, okay, we're gonna do this again. So I hit this snag in my life, and with all these kids, I had to provide for them. I was getting emails, I was getting calls from local colleges that wanted me to come interview. And I could have stepped back into this corporate world. I could have stepped back into this high salary paying job and put my kids in public school. But I really had to think about it. What was the right move? What was important to me? And for me, time with my children was more money than any dollar amount. And so I was racking my brain, how can I do this and still be able to be at home? And how can I also help other parents so that they don't have to choose between providing for their children and protecting them and having them homeschooled? So I decided, I was like, you know what? I actually got to get food on the table, so I'm going to go to work. So what did I do? I found Amazon, and this is like my claim to fame story for many of you guys know. That's the girl who was like driving Amazon, and then she opened an academy. So I pulled triple shifts at Amazon. I'd wake up at 2:30 in the morning, and I would get up and I would go work. Like it's a grind. For those of you guys who know about any type of labor job, it's a grind. I loved it because I just naturally have a positive attitude about things. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking to people. But I would get off by 7:30 in the morning so that I can be home by 8 a.m. so that I can homeschool my children until noon and then go right back out into the 118-degree blistering heat and do it all again for 2 more shifts before I had to run my kids to all their workouts. So this was my day-to-day. And there was a point where I actually posted in the warehouse. I was like, oh yeah, clocking in for another shift. And then my business partner, he comments, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm clocking in. And he said, no. He's like, you are too talented for this, and you're not living your purpose. And so then I was like,
And we weren't business partners at the time, right? I'm like just watching her on social media, like, I know this person, and she was once out of college, and now she's doing Amazon. And it just floored me, because I know who Tasha is. Like, when you know someone who has potential up here, and there's nothing wrong with driving Amazon, I just knew for her and her personality and character, like, what are you doing? And I was like, what are you doing? Like, I just said, you're meant for more, and I need you to really take that to heart.
thank you. And so I pulled over, actually, and we had a very long talk, and it was a heart-to-heart. And we talked about life's purpose, and we talked about non-negotiable and your why, and why it's important to find our passion and to follow that. So he got in my ear, and I was just like, finishing my shift, driving around, and I'm like, I don't see how I can take this and help other parents like he said I could. I don't see it. So a couple weeks later, so this year, which was my second year homeschooling, I told all the parents, I was like, I can't do it. Like, I'm sorry, I can't homeschool your children again because I have to go to work. And so, because I was doing, and so I get a call from a mom that I've never met before. And she calls me and she's like, hey, my name's so-and-so. I got your number from a friend. Are you still homeschooling? And I was like, I'm sorry, like, I'm not. I just, have my kids. And then she just breaks down and starts crying. And she talks about, around that time, there was a school shooting in a different state. And so she just opens up about the anxiety that she's feeling as a mother. And her and her husband, their situation, her and her husband both work full time. And so she wants to know that her daughter is protected. She was like, Tosh, that is my world. That is my baby. I have to be able to know when I drop her off every day that she's protected and she's safe and she's loved on. That is so important to me. And so it was a very emotional phone call, and I was like, you know what, yeah, send her to me. So she came and started with us, and the next week I get another call from a different mom that I've never met. Similar story, where she's like, she was a single mom, and she actually came from California, and same thing, and she was very emotional. But her thing was, there was some curriculum that her young daughter was exposed to in the classroom, and she was heartbroken, and she was not okay with it. And so she was like, I can't homeschool my daughter, but I want to. Can you please take her? So again, I'm like, yes, send her to me. So slowly, one by one, even though I said I wasn't going to do it again, my home started getting filled. And I started to think about what Satema was saying. And I was like, you know what, maybe this is my purpose. So I decided to go to Shield Maiden, which was a huge part of my journey, and I feel why Elite has expanded so much, because it has shifted not only my mindset, but I have learned a lot through the group of people that I now associate with. So he has a coaching group called Circle of Champions, which I've joined, and in talking to all of these business owners, I'm listening to their stories, and I'm listening to their path that they've taken, and many of them make a lot of money, and I've learned quite a few things. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna make this bad boy a real thing. So in 2022, December 2022, I created Elite Performance Prep Academy, which is microschooling dedicated to homeschooled children. Now, what does microschooling mean? Microschooling means we teach at a much smaller ratio. We teach at a 1-to-10 ratio, very, very small setting. And in that 1-to-10 ratio, we deliver instruction for anything and everything that our students need. Our main goal here at Elite is to build leaders, cultivate entrepreneurs, and empower the next generation. As you guys know, a lot that's going on in the public school system, it's an antiquated system. We're sending our kids and sticking them in a chair for 7 to 8 hours a day for them to memorize facts that I promise they're not even gonna need, 95% of it, they're not even gonna need to recall it. And you know, I remember when my kids were in public school and they were racking their brains trying to remember this, and I'm like, I promise, when you're an adult, you will never need to, on the spot, know how long the Mississippi River is. You won't. And so the more I was paying attention to the curriculum, more I'm like, we have this backwards on so many things that we're doing. And so everything that we do, like Satema said, is to build the whole person and not just the student, not just the athlete, but to really pay attention to who they are as an individual. Okay, you want to take this next part?
Yeah. So, look, I'll go through this quickly. Old way, right? Classrooms of 30 to 40 kids. A curriculum that was built 70, 80 years ago. How many of you would agree with me? The things that our kids are learning today in public schools, it's not built for today. It's built from the 50s and 40s. It's different today. Bullying, lack of safety, busy work, homework. My boys would come home and I'm like, what are you learning? This is when they were in public school still. And it's imagine a conveyor belt system built to just get kids through, and it's not really focused on helping them to love to learn. If you want to be good at basketball, you go play basketball. If you want to be great at life, you go do life and learn in life. But you put your kids in school, they can be good at school. It doesn't mean they're going to be good at life, right? The grade system and the way that it's built is like, I got C's in college, but I'm book smart, common sense, common practice. And so it's like, I may not have been good in school, but man, I know life and I know people and I know results. So if you look at the way that just this forced agenda, the final thing on this is I wanted to be involved with my children's education. And we educate in my home a lot. And then the forced agendas, I don't even want to get into that, all this stuff about, I ain't going to say it, but just stuff about like trying to teach our kids, like you don't need to learn that in school. That's not your job. That's my job as a father. So that's the old way. And the old way, I can tell you right now, it doesn't work. All you have to do is look at society today. Something has gone off the path. So if the old way doesn't work, then there's a different way, and that's what Tasha gets to explain right now.
Oh, thank you. So the elite way, so how we've changed it up. So obviously microschooling, like I was talking about before, the 1-to-10 ratio, it's a much better setting. It's funny when we're talking about IEP and 504 plans, when you talk about students that have accommodations, when students come to us with IEPs, we are already doing a lot of what those accommodations call for anyways. So I love it when we're talking to our academic coaches. By the way, we don't call them teachers, we call them coaches. When we talk to our coaches, a lot of these students who were deemed, a little bit behind, they are excelling and they're thriving. We have several students who were actually on medication who have now been able to come off of medication because our learning environment is much more optimal and suits them a lot better. We believe at Elite that the education should fit the child and not the other way around. So we take a lot of time to pour into our students. Rapport is so important for us. The most important thing, if you can love on a child and you can just give them all the confidence in the world, and every single day you're pouring into them positivity and telling them that, like, hey, what's up, champ? What's up, smarty pants? They start to become that, even if they don't initially believe that in themselves quite yet. There's a story that I always love to share. His name is Bo. Love this kid. He came to us, and Mother always gives me permission to share this story because he's such an inspiration. He was struggling in school in all of his classes, and so his mom was paying a lot of money to go to Mathnasium. I don't know if you guys, it's like one of those high-end like tutoring companies. So paying a lot of money and was still failing all of his classes. So she gives me a call and she's like, I think I need tutoring from you. And I said, absolutely. She goes, what's the difference? I said, we love the kids. And she laughs. I was like, you laugh, but it's a real thing. And so when I started talking to her about methodology and how we're different and how we connect with the students and let them feel like it's okay to be where you're at. Public school, there's all these like societal, you're supposed to be right here. And they do that to us as we're adults as well. You're supposed to be married by this age. You're supposed to have bought a home by this age. There's so many standards that we always feel if we don't hit those, we have so much shame and guilt. Or I should have X amount of money, but has anybody taught you? It's okay to be where you're at. Let's start right here and let's work forward. And so I was working with this kid, Bo, and it was just math that I was tutoring him in. And I remember I got him on a Tuesday, and we went over his homework for 2 hours. Here's the thing, Bo had an IEP. They said that he should be on medication. So his attention span was kind of all over the place. So when I noticed that Bo wasn't locked in with me, he would go on a tangent, and I would go on a tangent right with him. He would talk about football, and I was like, what? No way. And then next thing you know, we're YouTubing like his favorite NFL players. And I'd let him go off and take that mental break for 5 minutes. And then I'd be like, all right, you ready to lock in? All right, let's lock back in. We locked back in. We did that for 2 hours, finished all his homework, and went over his entire review. The next day, he went in, took his test, got the highest math test he's ever gotten in his life, and he was stoked. Runs out, tells his mom, she's like, you gotta text Miss Tasha, calls me. He was ear to ear. Finished off the rest of the semester, and his grades just start going like this. By the end of that semester, that was November, by the end of that semester, he had to take another iReady diagnostic test. His mom calls me crying. She's like, he jumped so many levels in reading, and look at all his grades, how he finished. So she's showing me this, she's showing me notes, letters sent home from the teacher saying, I don't know what you're doing, but Bo is a different kid. So she's telling me all this stuff, and I'm looking at the diagnostic test for his reading. I said, you know what's interesting? I'm not tutoring him in reading. I'm only tutoring him in math. But I shoot him a text every single day. This kid lives in Florida, by the way. We only Zoomed a couple hours a week. So get that. If a kid can hear and get a text message every day and be told, you got this, champ, yes, you're smarty pants. He started to believe that, and he started to trend and was getting straight A's all the way into next semester. Those are the stories that do it for me. To be able to have the connection and the rapport and get rid of the shame and guilt of you're supposed to be right here by right now. No, you're okay where you're at right now. Customized learning, so just kind of going to also what does the child like to do? You know, we're really big on business entrepreneurship, and we're gonna have some other people come up here in a little bit and talk more on that. But business and entrepreneurship, we really wanna cultivate that. Just because they're maybe not the best artist doesn't mean they're not gonna be the greatest engineer. So we don't have to try to fit everybody inside the same box. Find out what they like, what's their niche, and find out what's important to them. And then we start to narrow down the careers as they get older. A safe environment, we're parent advocates. We love when parents hit us up. In all of our centers, so we have 4 centers, 1 massive online cohort, and then 2 centers going up this fall. So and this is our first school year. So we are rapidly expanding with pretty much all referrals and word of mouth. And a lot of that is because our parents are so happy, as well as our students. In all of our centers, you can go in, there's couches. We love when parents come, take a seat. We're fully transparent. You wanna go on the field trips with us? Let's go. So we always have more parents than kids on field trips. Get that, it's a blast though. No standardized tests, so we don't really believe in standardized testing in terms of sitting there and just having to memorize material. It doesn't really do anything. And not only that, it's out their mind as soon as they take it. So when we take our tests, we group up. You think about, as an adult, to be successful as an adult, it's not just one right or wrong answer. You have to know how to solve problems a multitude of ways, right? It's about critical thinking, so we're developing critical thinking skills. We want to know, how do you get 10 different right answers? How can you get really creative? And not only that, we love when they can be collaborative and work together. Our setting is not just individual desks facing the front. We have round tables, or tables where they're all facing each other. We love when they can discuss. Okay, you guys got this, you're gonna take this test. They get to partner up or even do it as a group, and they sit there and they get to discuss amongst themselves what do they think the right answer is. Now, I always get this question, Tosh, aren't they just gonna cheat? Doesn't everybody just get the same answers? No, they don't. If anything, they're pushing each other, and their critical thinking is taking themselves on tangents. Now they have to go back into the book, and they have to trust and verify what they thought because their partner might have thought something else. So it is really deep diving. We don't want them to just skim the surface on a number of concepts, standard. We want them to dive super deep and explore the ones that really hit them, but also have their mind take a left. And, and the great thing about that is in our testing is when students disagree, two groups go up, say they disagree on their answer, then they get to go to the front of the class and they get to debate. And that is when it's just awesome to see what they come up with.
Can I share one more thing on this? Thank you. So if you're going to cover this, then just, you can punish me afterwards. So if you think about the way the public schools do it right now, there's a parent-teacher conference. Who's ever been to a parent-teacher conference in here? Raise your hand. Right, you show up, the teacher tells you what's going on. In Elite, we do parent-coach conferences, but we also have a conference where your child, you show up and your child says, okay, here's where I am. And they'll show you their work, and they'll say, when I started, this is where I was. And your child gets to self-assess and have introspection and tell you and the coach, here's where I'm at, and here's what I'm learning, and here's where I want to go. So the way that Elite does it right now, we're giving these children real life opportunities to talk, to share, to be real, to be raw. And it's not just the teacher has all the right answers. I tell my boys, so my boys, they go to Elite 4 days a week. And they'll come home and they'll share something. I'm gonna say, well, why don't you challenge? Why don't you challenge the coach? Challenge the coach. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, just say, hey, coach, I don't think that's right. And they're like, I can do that? I'm like, yeah. We do it respectfully, but again, just a different way. Old school is just, hey, the teacher's gonna have a conference our way. Imagine your child. You show up and your child's like, all right, here's where I'm at, mom and dad. Let me show you what I'm doing. Here's where I think I'm strong. Here's where I think I'm weak. And your child assesses. How amazing would that be? Just one of many differences. So.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Yeah, that's actually, so with that, we very student-led, very conversation-based, very student-led. So our goal is to set your children up for success. So we don't just have in our classrooms, it's not just the whole time the academic coach just teaching the material. It's, we'll teach a little bit, and then it's a lot of discussion, and we want them to facilitate a lot of it and teach it as well to their peers. It's gonna sink in more, as you guys know, for those of you who've ever taught a lesson, you learn more when you have to turn around and regurgitate it to somebody else. And even when it comes to the little things, when parents come to our centers, we don't do the tours. Us adults, we don't do the tours. I'll pull a kindergartner out, a third grader, fifth grader. Okay, you guys are up. Hey, this is Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so. And they're like, hello, welcome to Elite. Thank you for being here. Kindergartners, little young kids, and we prep them, and we do a lot of mock, interviews, mock speeches, so they are just on the money every single time. I've actually had a few people in Las Vegas who's called us because they were impressed and they've met the students. So it's one thing to hear it from the parent being like, oh my gosh, raving about it, but then when the third grader comes up and is like, yeah, we do this and that, and they were so just amazed at how articulate our children were. We have a lot of professionals. We love to partner with people in the communities. And I have to say that's a lot of times why we've been so successful is because we love to just give back to the community. And so we love to have us come here and turn around and ask everybody in the community, well, what do you guys like to do? What's interesting? What do you want to see in your center? So if you look at all of our different centers from Nevada, Utah, Florida, they're all very different based on their region. For example, in Crestview, we partner with a ranch out there, Wagyu Mama. So we got little 6-year-olds, 6, 7-year-olds driving stick shift and driving tractors and actually doing agriculture and homesteading out there. And it's so amazing to see how capable our students are at a young age. So the things that we're able to teach, high level, and then we break it all the way down so that they can learn, at a low level, so kindergarten through 2. So with our financial literacy and business, we break it down so that they can understand. Our children are learning about assets and liabilities and sales tax, and we take it a step further. It's one thing to learn in the classroom, but how fun is it when your coach can give you a $10 bill and say, load up in the van, we're going to the store. And then we take them to the store and we tell them, here's your challenge. You have to take the shelf item and you have to calculate the sales tax. Whoever gets the closest to $10 without going over is the winner. And you get to decide what dessert we're gonna have after this. We do things like that. So it's fun and it's engaging and it's challenging and it's a little competitive, but it sinks in and they understand it. You can ask our students, they know what it goes towards, why we have it, things that are super important for them to know at a young age. And then also mixed in what we think is important, character building. Like I mentioned before, Satema runs some classes that we have students from all over the country when he does his classes on Fridays, since we don't have school on Fridays in any of our centers. So he does his Zoom, and kids from all over the country, including Samoa, log on all together, which is awesome and super real. And then also life skills. So we have units on how to change a tire, how to change the oil, how to write a letter, things like that, where as an adult, you might not know how to do those things because you really sometimes don't learn until you have to. So it's been really, really fun to implement these different things with our students and just seeing them, take it from there. Something as simple, everything that we do, it doesn't matter if we're teaching them math, science, social studies, English, it doesn't matter what the topic is, we turn it around and relate everything to personal life. How does this relate to you in your personal life? How can this make you better? This is how we want their mindset to expand. I'll give you an example. They were actually the Sports Academy students. I took them to the gas station. We were driving up north, and I was like, we need gas. And so we did a life skills lesson right there on the spot. Everybody out, showed them. I was shocked at how many kids didn't know how to gas up the car. So take them out, and I'm explaining to them the different pumps. I'm explaining to them what the numbers mean and which types of cars use the different types of gas. And as I was talking about, the fuel, I was like, hey, see that number? This was the higher number. These are the nicer cars, right? The engines are more expensive, so we want them to last longer. So we had this conversation, and then I said, how does this relate to you? And one of the boys, 6th grade, Caleb, raises his hand. He said, well, that's like us. We're all elite athletes here at this academy, and we have to fuel our bodies with the best food. And the best food happens to be expensive. We need this much water, we need X amount of protein, we need sleep, we need this, we need that. And that was brilliant. And we know that we're really starting to teach them to expand their mindset when they can see something as simple as gassing up your car and have it relate to how does this relate to me in my daily life. We want them to connect all the time. So with this, going into this, I'm really excited about bringing it to the Bay Area because you are only as good as your team. And we are super, super grateful and blessed. There's been definitely the Lord's hand in building this, and there's been so many miracles every day, like multiple miracles every day. And when we look at who's a part of Elite, it just makes me emotional because from all of our staff to the families, everybody has just made this the best thing ever. And so out here in the Bay Area, we've just been especially moved to have found our group of people out here who has been helping us move this forward, but is as equally passionate about this for the greater cause, but also especially to bring it here to the Bay Area. And there's a few people that I'm going to introduce and have come up, and one of the groups is Kepenia, so EFT and their group, and we're so grateful they're going to talk right now about what they're implementing. And then after them, we're going to have, you guys know PyFest, Matt and Lola, so they get to come up and share. And then we're going to have Fusi Ta'anga come up and share her experience as well as a homeschool mom. So give it up for Kepenia.
Thank you so much. How much of you guys have appreciated what you guys have heard so far? Raise your hand. Good. I love seeing that. I'm going to ask you guys to do something. If you guys can just stand on your feet real quick. Loosen up those legs. I want you guys to stretch in the air. Put your hands high in the air. Then turn to the person on your right or left and give them a high five. All right. There you go. A little bit of stretch. Heard a lot of great information. I'm going to share you guys can go ahead and take a seat. I'm going to share a little bit about who we are. So if you guys don't know who I am, my name is Nia Unga, and I am one of the founders of Elite Financial Team. The other founder is Kep Tuyono, who's on the stage with us. And so I wanted to share a little bit about who EFT is, if you guys don't already know or follow us on our social media page. So we are actually a nonprofit organization that teaches financial literacy to the marginalized and underserved communities. And so for the past 18, 24 months, we have been grinding in bringing the financial literacy to the table, whether it is working with people individually, or it's working with small groups, or even stepping into the high schools and actually teaching the high school students. And so the way that that was birthed was a little bit about me is I have 15 years of industry experience in the financial world. And so working with stock portfolios, being able to help manage over 300 to 500 clients at any given moment, but really being infused in an industry that I didn't see at home. We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about finances. We didn't talk about investing. We didn't talk about all of these things that we feel like are so key. So when Kep approached me with this vision of, yo, you have to share this knowledge that you have, is really what catapulted Elite Financial Team to be doing the work that they're doing today. Did you want to add a little bit to that?
No, I need my team, Crystal and Vi.
Yes, we will have our team. We have, there's actually about 9 of us. We are in California, we are in Hawaii, and we're also in Utah. And all of these individuals are amazing leaders in their own right in different spaces in the financial world. So we have Crystal and we have Vi here. We have Barry in another room teaching Bible study, but he's also part of our team. Vi, Crystal, if you guys can just wave your hands to the people so everybody knows who you are and that you're a part of Elite Financial Team. So some of the things that we bring financial literacy to the communities is, like I said, we do like one-on-one financial consultations. So you come to me, you ask, for help, whether it's just asking about your 401k account or like, yo, I need a budget because I am the worst at money, to actually doing virtual workshops. So we've done about 35 virtual workshops available to people all over the world in talking about credit, budgeting, investments, and then we've also done a couple of conferences. These pictures up here are some of the groups that we have worked with. And so if you look at the middle bottom picture, this was a group of young students, youth, young adults who actually went on a Young Entrepreneur Summit. And so they got to walk in the life of a CEO and visit a lot of these different companies. So like that's some of the work that we do as well. I'm just gonna share a little bit with what we do in our conferences by showing this video, if I can.
I just knew right away that it was going to be something huge, it's going to be something big, and I want to tell you guys that this is just the beginning. When they don't teach this stuff in school, they didn't get none of this information when we were in school or when we were younger, so it was my mission to kind of bring it to you guys.
And guess what? Financial literacy looks like us. Financial freedom looks like us. Why not us?
When you see that stuff, when you see our shirts, when you hear Elite Financial Team, it came from grit and hard work.
Never stop being a student. Continue to learn each and every day and understand that there's always something you need to learn.
All we want to do is help you. We want to grow, and we just want to continue to educate and empower.
First shift conference that we ever did, and I think we were just like a couple of months into the nonprofit before running this conference, but just seeing how important it was for us to bring the information to the community is why we did the conference. This is the last conference that we did in the Bay Area, so I wanted to share this with you as well.
There's nothing wrong with the 9 to 5, don't get me wrong. 9 to 5 got me a house, 2 cars, but I got comfortable. That was the worst thing that could happen to me as I look back, is I got comfortable. What I learned is I needed to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Most people will work, 2,000 hours a year, okay? And maybe they'll work for 40 years, that's 80,000 hours. But most Americans won't spend 1,000 hours in their lifetime on paying attention to what they need to invest their capital in. Doesn't matter. Real estate, stocks, they don't spend that in their lifetime. And those that do tend to be twice as wealthy as those that don't. Just that, just studying it, that's it.
You have set a goal about your finances. It's the awareness that you have set the goal, but it's also regulating the impulse to change that goal. Sometimes we set a goal that we want to save this much money, or we want to put money aside to invest, but as soon as you get paid, we lose that self-control.
Step one, always know your credit score, okay? Credit Karma, freecreditreport.com. Step two, you have to memorize this graph, because this is how you're going to change your credit, okay? And then step three is repeat steps 1 and 2.
So this is why it's super helpful to understand mental health, self-awareness, things that we do, the habits that we have, why we do that, so we don't keep making mistakes that never change the direction of our lives and our kids' lives and the legacy that we have behind. Hopefully that just inspired you guys to show up to our next Shift conference that we're gonna have in October. But this just gives you a little taste of who Elite Financial Team is and what we do. So you guys are probably wondering, like, okay, I thought I was coming to hear about a micro school. Like, how does this connect? Say, how does this connect? I'm so glad you asked, and I don't know what happened here. But there is, just like you've heard from Tasha and Satema, there's always a story, and kind of like this divine intervention that happens in our lives. And so as we're doing this work, one of the team was actually having a meeting, and in that meeting, we were talking about, we have to start a school. Because we're already in the schools, we're already working with the youth, we're working with different organizations who are having a lot of these issues, and that it's actually stemming from the school system that they spend most of their time in. And so when we were talking about this, and none of us have built a school before, none of us have stepped into that space or even like done homeschooling before. So I'm sitting on social media, and I come across Tasha's page, and I shoot it to Kep, and I was like, we have to connect. I don't know what it is, but what she's doing is amazing. I'm seeing the change. I'm seeing the growth in the kids that she is talking about. And so we team up. We have a conversation with Tasha. I don't know if it was like a couple weeks later, we literally jumped on a flight and went to the center to go check it out. Because that's how important, when we're seeing what is happening with our youth, when we're seeing what's happening with our kids, and my nieces and nephews that I see back there, when I see what is happening and feeling like there has to be something, why not us? This is when you get up and you go and do something about it. And so that's what we did. We came to Vegas, and let me tell you, to see the kids, so we're kind of like in this space, we're absorbing like everything that's going on, and just paying attention, observing how the kids are and the coaches are. And we're hearing a couple of the stories of the kids. And then they have the kids come up and present. And I've already heard like a couple of stories of like kids that were like super shy, very like internal with their emotions and expressing themselves. And then they talk. And I was like, no way that kid was this shy, because this boldness, this confidence, this clarity, the way that they express themselves verbally, I was like, they talk better than some adults I know. Like, how is this possible? And then getting to know the program that they have was amazing. And so it was only fit for us to be able to link arms and bring something to the Bay Area. So this is where it all connects, because the center that we're gonna have here in the Bay Area, the kids will go through a financial empowerment course from K to 12. It's not just the middle schoolers or the high schoolers. It's literally K through 12. And when you're talking, when she's talking about, you know, these kids learning assets and liabilities, that's second grade. Second grade, these kids are going to be able to understand assets and liabilities. Who as adults don't even know what assets and liabilities are? Well, let me tell you, I work with, thank you for being honest. I work with a lot of adults, and I can tell you, like, first-handed, most of adults don't even know assets and liabilities. You see the bullet points right here, the financial empowerment program that the kids are going to go through. They don't even know half of what's on that list, adults. And so this is what's going to happen is, you know, one, as adults, and we get introduced into these bullet points, the biggest thing that we do, or the main thing that we do, is run away. It's too scary. It doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. I can't comprehend it. I'm not smart enough, and that is a lie. But really, to be able to change that is by infusing these important concepts into the kids at a very young age. And it can still be age grade appropriate for us to be talking about assets and liabilities. Yes, we're probably not going to use those terms, but we're still implementing the concept of what it is. And so that's a huge game changer when you're talking about the education system, whether it's public or private. But in the center that we are going to create, this is going to be available for them to be able to learn in their ability to learn certain things. So like personalizing the education for each child, these little things are going to be slowly implemented. And we all know when we water the seed, it will definitely grow. So by the time that they exit and they go into this adult world, they're not confused by how to manage their money. They're not confused on how to manage their credit. And so when they learn these things like credit and budget and taxes, insurance, right? If we're going to be good with our finances, we start building up all these assets. It's not just important for us to have insurance for our car or for our house, but learning how to protect even the things that we're building up. And you go into the different investments and real estate, all these different things. But what has been really important when we bring financial literacy to the table, it's the mindset. It is self-awareness. It's understanding the habits that we create in ourselves and don't even know it. So when we can be honest and real with ourselves, and again, if we're starting at a very young age to be able to learn why do we do the things that we do, is it because it's been programmed in us? Is it because of habits that have been passed down? We're able to work with these kids individually throughout the process of their time in the program to be able to learn these things so it's not daunting, it's not scary. And if you guys look at the very last bullet point, this is, I would say, one of the main reasons why we even do this. We have seen so many people with amazing talent not living their purpose. Did you guys know that 85% of 9-to-5 workers here in America hate their job? 85%. I'm sorry, if I was running a Fortune 500 company and I knew 85% of my employees did not want to be there, I'm like, then go. But then you don't have workers. But it's really creating this ability. We're not saying that there's anything wrong with a 9-to-5 worker, but it's really about designing an individual who is passionate about what they do every single day. Whether it is driving for Amazon, like, that's not the point. If they love doing it, do it with passion and because you feel like there's purpose. But we also want to give the opportunity for the artist, for the photographer, for the philanthropist, for the one who wants to go on mission trips every single year, for the creator and the designer, for all of these different things that we were told you can't do that because it doesn't make any money. Just understanding these concepts during their program, during their time in school age, to be able to understand the finances doesn't have to be scary. When they are so aware of how they manage their money, money does not become scary for them, which allows them to step into their purpose that they were created to do. That is huge for us. And so we are excited to be able to build out this program with the financial empowerment piece and bring it to your kids. So, did you want to add anything? So we really appreciate it. Tasha, Tama, thank you so much.
That was amazing. Thank you guys. Enroll me in your classes. It's awesome. And then next we have Matt. Give it up for Matt, you guys.
Whoa, whoa.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Matthew Malele. My wife and I are the founders of the nonprofit organization. It's called PIFest. Stands for Pacific Islanders Encouraging Fun, Engineering, Science, and Technology. Unfortunately, my wife couldn't be here tonight, but she's here in spirit. The mission at PIFest is that we're dedicated to improving Pacific Islander representation and increasing access to STEM-related careers. And how we're working towards that goal is by taking a culturally nurturing approach to creating and designing STEM experiences that spark interest and nurture curiosity, right? And so with that in mind, the way that we are designing the program we'll be providing through Elite Performance Prep Academy is by having a project-based learning approach. The students will be participating in fun and engaging STEM activities. There's going to be a heavy emphasis on collaboration and focus on communication. I'll add healthy communication, right? Being able to articulate your thoughts in a healthy way in a team setting is something that we believe at PIFest applies in a lot of spaces. Another thing PIFest takes to heart, because we have young children, is that we have an early focus on developing positive STEM identities, right? There's a lot of studies out there that say if children do not feel empowered or see themselves in certain spaces, they believe that those things are unachievable for them. So we really are intentional about how we develop positive STEM identities for students, specifically as it relates to STEM. And lastly, as a culminating activity through PIFest is your students, your children, the students, will be participating in a variety of different contests, competitions, STEM-related, that coincide with what they learned throughout the semester. So mine is real brief tonight. Thank you all for your time. I'm excited and hopeful to see some of y'all in the classroom come September. And also, I just want to add, there's so much synergy between the organizations and the people involved in creating this micro school that it just feels divine and it feels right. And so my hope is that y'all will be a part of it, and we look forward to serving the community and serving your kids. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Two awesome organizations. We're so grateful and blessed and honored to be working so closely with them in creating the best experience for your children. And last but not least, I want to ask Fusi to please come up front. So Fusi, it's important to hear from, so she's another powerhouse who's helping us put this together for your families. And I asked Fusi to share a few words. So she homeschools, so I asked her to share why she started homeschooling and what is the effect that she's seeing on her family because of it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Fusi, and I just want to talk a little bit about why we chose to homeschool. A lot of it, probably the same reason why you guys are all sitting here today. But can you guys come up here? I'm just gonna ask my kids to come up here. Sorry. We just came from wrestling, and so this is us in real life. Sorry, we're not dressed up. So these are my three kids that I homeschool. This is Andreas, who is 11. This is Rosie, who is 9, and Mela, who is 7. We first started homeschooling 2 years ago. We moved to an area where they didn't have the best schools. And so we started by homeschooling Andreas. Andreas skipped 1 grade, and then he was supposed to skip a 2nd grade, and we kind of told him no, we didn't want him to skip 2 grades. And one of the issues that we kind of ran into a lot with Andreas was just different learning level, and basically him not being able to excel. And then with our girls, we just felt like there's so much being taught in schools that we didn't agree with. And then also, I'm really heavy in the business world and just always really busy. So for us, homeschooling was a way for us to basically have freedom of our time to be able to spend time with our kids. And then I'll just talk about the difference that homeschooling has made for our family. With, you know, since we started homeschooling, we just, we've been able to do so much. My kids, they can learn, you know, the things that we feel are important, you know, which for us is financial literacy. They can talk about the stock market, they can talk about investing, they can talk about business, they can talk about pretty much anything. They can talk better than me. One of the things that's really important for me, you know, as I've been in the business world, is just noticing that there's like hesitancy or something from a lot of our people being comfortable in situations, being comfortable in rooms, being comfortable speaking, and I don't want that for my kids. I want them to be able to come and stand up in a room like this or in any room, in a boardroom, wherever, and feel comfortable speaking, and they're not going to get that from a regular school. So when I came to the meet and greet for Elite Performance Prep Academy, I just felt like it provided all of the solutions that I was looking for. You know, creating leaders, confidence, and, you know, Satema and Tasha, you guys are amazing and great. Want to thank you guys. And then EFT and also PyFest, I think that what we're building is unlike anything. It doesn't exist. And we have such an amazing team. And I think we're going to do really great things, not just for our kids, but for all of the kids. As we're building this, it's so important for me that we build something that I want my kids to be in. You know, I didn't pull them out of school to put them back into something that isn't going to work for us. And I really, really believe that this is the solution that we've been all waiting for. So, thank you.
Tosh, before you share, one more time, round of applause for everyone, please. Thank you so much. Before Tasha shares, I just want to acknowledge something. When EFT is up here speaking and I'm down here listening, I'm like, man, I've seen this because I grew up in a home where my parents gave me everything. They came from Samoa to the States. And they worked job after job, they were paycheck to paycheck. We never owned a home until I was in high school. Never had new cars till I was in high school. And there was like this, it was such a big deal for them. And I remember my dad saying, my job was to give you this shot in the States. I hope you do something with it. So as I'm listening to Nia with EFT, which is part of our team, and we're part of their team, I hope you guys get what they're saying. It's not enough to go to school and just to learn a bunch of stuff. EFT's talking about if you don't learn financial literacy, you do what everyone else does. You get a job, you spend your money, you get into debt, and you just hope and pray that someone gets a GoFundMe account for you. If you do what EFT's talking about, you shift that path and you get onto a different path, which is earning, saving, investing the difference, giving, earning more, learning how to grow your money and having your money work for you. How many of you would just love if your children came home and said, hey, mom and dad, I learned some concepts with money. Let me teach you this and let me show you, hey, is this within our budget, mom and dad? Imagine how awesome it would be to have EFT. Then we have Pie Fest with Matt Lola and what they do. Like, I hope you can see here, I'm a sports guy. If I was a sports coach, I would go put together the all-star team. We got an all-star team. All for what? For your children. So they can come in and get educated and learn and grow. So I just needed to share that. Like, I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, we got this amazing all-star team. We're about to go win. We're about to go win the big Super Bowl.
Sir. Yes, yes. And I love it, and it's great because, you know, it's one thing to have one teacher that can skim the surface on a bunch of different things that maybe they're not a pro in, but how much better is it if we're teaching them STEM from the STEM gurus and teaching them financial literacy from the financial literacy gurus. You want your child to learn about business from an entrepreneur, not just a teacher who doesn't own a business. And so thank you guys for sharing that. Thank you, Satema. Yes.
Sorry to interrupt, because I'm just dying to ask all my questions. Are we going to have a question and answer?
We are. We actually have
Q&A
like 2
coming
more
up.
slides.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's only $2 a question. Just kidding. I'm joking.
Okay, so this is the schedule. So real quick, this is tentative right here. You guys can take your cameras out right now or your phones if you want to take a picture of this. But this is the schedule that we're looking at. So Monday through Thursday, 8:15 to 3:15, and no class on Fridays. And then getting into the cost, right? So this is the cost, which is the big question for everybody. You guys got that picture? If you got me in your picture, make sure you guys tag me. All right, so this is what the investment is. Do you want to talk about this?
Yeah. So if you take a look at this, full academic year, $17,400. Now, before some of you guys are like, yeah, no, we got to go. Just be open for a moment here, okay? Bay Area Scholarship, like we are doing all we can to raise money, create funds, and create opportunities so that your monthly investment will be roughly $500. What I've learned is this: when there's skin in the game, skin meaning when you put your money in, you play different. How many of you would agree with that? Like if something's free, it's like, yeah, okay, cool. But the moment my sons buy their own cleats and buy their own mouth guards and buy their own stuff, they take care of it. So before you get all like, there's no way I could afford this. Just whoop, put the brakes on and say, okay, look, we're gonna do all we can to create an opportunity. Your job is to know it's worth this and so much more. We just had, I don't think you shared it, but we have people in Vegas that are paying $18,000 a year for their 7-year-olds, and they're getting ready to switch them over to Elite. So your mindset about this investment right here, where there's a will, there's a way. And as one of my, one more thing. Last thing I'll share on this, what a gift and an opportunity. If you right now are like, there's no way, I challenge you to take a look at how you see this. You don't need to sign up with Elite, but I just challenge you. If you think that $17,400 is a lot of money, I challenge you on that, because it's not. And I don't say that arrogantly. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not. But I'll say this. What would happen if you could shift how you see this money portion and what would be possible for your child? And if you'll just be open to possibilities, one of the things we teach our Elite kids, we ask a question, what's possible? And their answer is everything. So we're going to make this happen here.
So I'm going to explain, thank you so much. I'm going to explain this real quick. So this came out to, for the full academic year, so broken down in 10 payments would be $1,740 per month. But we are looking to, because of the space that we're in, we're looking to raise funds so that we can take the weight off the shoulders of the parents. So we're looking to actually get scholarships for the students all the way up into the 500. And we even want to take a step further, and we as a board had discussed that we were actually going to help the parents come up with funding for the additional 500. So at the end of the day, it'll be little to no cost to you to have your child come. Now, because of that and the experiences that we have, space is going to be very limited, as you guys have seen on our social media. So if you can pull out your phones right now, this is very important. So this is a QR code. We have about half of our spots are filled already. And actually, I think less than that, because I've been watching my email all day, and we keep getting enrollment forms in. So it's a lot less than half that are available now. So this is to save your seat if you guys want to go ahead and scan that. And it's going to take you to an application. Fill out the application. You guys can go ahead and bypass the phone call. If so, just say, no need for a phone call. We'll continue on with we will reach out to help you with your enrollment process. This is time-stamped, so it's super important that you guys get it. And then we'll have a conversation about what that looks like as well. Because we're gonna just open the gates soon here. After we didn't release this QR code because we knew that some of you guys were gonna show up in person. So really important, if you have friends and family that you know were interested in taking that seat, and you're like, hey, there's gonna be scholarships, but only X amount of scholarships. So just know that we are trying to close the gap and give opportunities based on whatever circumstances may be. So please scan that, and we will get your seats saved for fall. All right.
Q&A.
Last thing? Q&A?
One more thing. Look, we are selective about who comes in. And the reason why we are selective, you know that if you put good ingredients into something, you get good output. Good input is good output. So obviously there's the admissions, but we want to talk to everyone who's coming in. We want to know why you're wanting to come here. And just know we're going to screen so we can have the best input inside the school, meaning the children and the families who really are committed to not just, hey, I'm going to drop my kids and I'm out. Like, we're partnering with you, right? EFT, Pie Fest, food, like we're partnering with the parents. So just know if you want in, like, fill this out, and then we get to have a great conversation and make sure that the fit is right.
Yes, thank you. All right, and now the rest of the time we have for Q&A, so if you want to ask questions here, if not, we'll be around for a little bit. You can ask us in person. So
we got our first question right here.
Hi, thank you for the time. My name is Maria, I get the last name. I'm a very close friend of Via Tunio, which is her son, Gifted there. And she brought me here. I have several questions, but I'll try to keep it down because I'm sure others have it. This, to me, I'm someone, by the way. This, to me, sounds like it's more catered towards Polynesians because of some of the Pie Fest and all the other stuff that you're talking about. Would that be accurate?
No, we have students of all different backgrounds.
But when you have, I think I saw a screen as I was pushing the answers, ask each time, it was more about the Samoan custom, the Polynesian custom.
So Pie Fest, is that what you're referring to, like the acronym? No, so yeah, so this is for any and all students, in any background, any religion, any culture. And I mean, you go to Crestview and it's all, I mean.
All Southern white people in Crestview,
Southern
Freeport,
white
all
bells,
white
we
people.
love them all the same, yeah.
Vegas, white, black,
African-American,
Mexican.
Yeah, so even, yeah.
Is there a set curriculum?
So that answer, so we have a combination of curriculum that we build out in it. So homeschool is very flexible. And so 8th grade and below, you don't really necessarily need an accredited curriculum. However, we offer different types of curriculum for parents. It's all individual, it's custom. So if somebody comes to us and was saying, hey, I need, for whatever reason, my student has to take this, then we will implement that. But for the most part, 8th grade on down, it's what we build out. 9th grade on up, we have a combination of what we offer. For example, if it's STEM, so say EFT is putting it together, or say Pie Fest. We also have a director of academics who has a double master's degree, been in education 30 years. She writes curriculum, so she takes the standards depending on which state we're in, because we're in 12 different states, and she writes that for us. Now for the athletes, because I have elite athletes in my family as well as Setema, for the athletes, I'm very picky on using already tried and true accredited curriculum, which we partner with Beach Cities Learn, which is out here in California, because they're WASC accredited and they're also NC2A approved.
Have we ever denied anyone? So we've been in existence for how long?
Since August. This is our first.
1 year. This is our first year. And there are some families that we've had conversations with where we've let them in. And then once we find out that their core values and the way that they operate aren't in alignment, we just have a conversation. Really simple. Well, in the beginning, because we're so small, we're 1 year in existence, we brought everyone in, and then there's some families where we've had to uninvite them lovingly to let them know, like
if it's like behavioral issue, we have a student pledge.
Yeah.
We have a student pledge and a parent pledge. If a child's coming in and just being disruptive, and our staff is so loving. We vet our staff very well. They're all background checked. But if we have a student that's constantly coming in and is just not willing to change, then we invite them to leave because they're disrupting the educational setting for the rest. So yes.
I'm going to ask 3 more important
Yeah.
Please.
I love it.
I have several, but I'm going to take my time.
Okay, hold on. That's good. Yeah, let me give you this mic. Go ahead so everyone can hear your question, please.
Well, I've always wanted to sing, but I won't do
Have
that.
at it.
Everybody will go home. Colleges. Are homeschooling accepted in colleges?
Hold up. Let me get that mic so everyone can hear.
Well, you know what? I can talk louder.
Okay, it's just people in the back can hear. So you guys hear the question, can homeschoolers be accepted into college? Let me answer 2, and then Tasha's going to answer the rest. Do we have another mic?
Oh, yeah.
I'm just the nerd in the back running the sound, but I did 3 kids in homeschool all the way through high school, and they all went to college, no problem.
They're accepted at the same rate as those not attending homeschool.
Yeah, because part of our high school involved partnering with an organization that provided credentials that they did the course of study. But we homeschooled that. We just had a little help with the paperwork.
Yeah. I'm so glad you thank you for answering. I love having people. Oh, did you have another question? Oh. And to also go off of that, so if you look at the standards, so the testing, homeschoolers are actually trending much higher than their counterparts who are in public school. And then also we had another staff who homeschooled her children, and they're all in grad school right now. And then also I love to use my daughter as an example. My older daughter, I homeschooled her up until 8th grade. Now she's at Bishop Gorman, which is one of the top private schools in the state. And she's a straight A honor student, junior, and top of her class, came from homeschool.
I feel the only downfall I can see right now off the top of my head, but it is a commendable thing to do, is lack of motivation and creativity. When you go to school, you are associating with other kids. Yes, the classrooms are large. Yes, we don't like certain things like politics that's taught in school or gender differences. We want that to be, taught at home, right? But my question would be is, when the kids are now out there interacting with others, you do have that small group of 10 or less, which is great because you can do one-on-one. It causes a child to become bored.
What's your question?
So don't you find that as a downfall for homeschooling, is that after a certain period, the kids will get bored?
Actually, it's the opposite.
So let me reiterate the question so they can. She's saying, hey, if the classrooms are small and they don't have bigger classrooms, do the kids get bored from seeing the same number of children? That was her question. Go ahead, Tosh.
Yeah, so it's actually the opposite. They're hyper-focused. So instead of sitting in a core class for an hour, and in that hour time frame, there's only 10 minutes of actual learning going on, because the whole time the teacher's trying to just get everybody to calm down and redirect for however many minutes. There's really only 10 minutes of instruction that's actually going on. When you have a smaller group, they're learning a lot more, and not only that, they're actually a part of teaching the lesson. We'll ask the students to tell us, hey, what do you guys, if we're talking about the water cycle, for example, they're actually are able to develop the lessons around it. Let's go look up on Pinterest, what kind of project do you guys want to do? So they're very hands-on. They get to design the education for themselves. Not only that, they don't get bored. They actually get to accelerate. So in the public school setting, where you have somebody that's really smart, what happens right now if they're ahead of the curve? As you know, Fusi, if they're ahead of the curve, there's like, hey, great, you're ahead. Okay, so this student over here that doesn't understand it, now you're responsible for them. So who's getting bored? Who is being held back? Not our students. Our students are accelerating, and we can only do that because at a much smaller rate.
Thank you. Last,
Yeah.
scholarships. I know that you had on there that you put out, or you are looking to get scholarships. Help me here because I got so many notes. The scholarship of $12,400 a year. You're looking into scholarships. You know that when you go to colleges, local colleges and stuff, you get scholarships for the colleges that you wish to go to, and it's paid for. Your school's paid for, everything's paid for. That's not something I see when you're homeschooling, but if you apply and you've got the same privileges and same acceptance as non-school, I guess that's where.
Are you talking about public, because public school is free?
You know, when you go to colleges, you get scholarships, so the parents don't have to pay because the school paid, the college paid.
Right. So there was always a question that was like, hey, Tosh, this is a great idea. Why don't you become a charter? Or why don't you become a private? Because there's so much funding from the state. We don't want state funding because we don't want state regulations. So although we would love to volunteer and create this amazing thing and have the best people on our team to teach, professionals, we want the best of the best to come teach, but we can't ask them to leave their teaching jobs and their other high salary paying jobs and come pour into our kids for free. We just can't do that. And so that's why, yes, there is a price, but what we're doing our best, our absolute best, to make sure that it's not falling on the shoulders of the parents. What we can do is we can go out and talk to people in different organizations and tell them what we're doing so that they can hopefully see the value in this and take the weight off, the financial weight off the parents and at least scholarship our students. So that's why we don't have a lot of funding and we do have to charge. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
When the kids graduate, are they given a diploma or some type of
Certificate? That's a great question. I love that you asked that, by the way. So here's my thoughts on college. College is not for everybody, and everybody is not for college. I'm just gonna say that flat out. Now, there's different things that you can do. So you could just have your own curriculum and have the transcripts, which a lot of times it's really finicky depending on like what state you're in and things like that. But it is possible to have an actual homeschool transcript created. Or you can use an accredited program that's already out there. There is a bunch of different ones. But what we do, especially when we get with high schoolers, is we sit down with the parents and we ask, what is the goal? Like, what is the goal for your child? So we really get to know what is the goal for the child and the family. Are they an athlete? Do they want to get in an Ivy League school? So we already know right ahead of time how to vet the best curriculum for that student. We have some parents that are flat out like, I don't care about accredited, I don't want them to accredited, they already have a job. We have a student in Maine who's a junior, and mom calls me and she's like, graduate him as fast as possible. This kid's already making $4,000 a month, and he has a super, super nice job, cushy job waiting for him as soon as he graduates. So we like sped him through, and in less than a year, he finished a year and a half of high school. So there's multiple options there for high schoolers. The peninsula.
The question is, do we know where the location's going to be? And to answer that, oh, go ahead.
You guys want to answer it? The question is, where is it going to be? So
We're looking.
That's part of the reason why we're here this week, is we have some properties that we're taking a look at, but Redwood City-ish, around there, Redwood City.
But as soon as we know, you all will know.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
So, assuming my daughter's homeschooled, my sister-in-law does a phenomenal job homeschool my daughter's son. Assuming we decide to go with this program, let's
Wait, so,
Oh, of course. Monday through Thursday? Oh, so if you needed a place for her to go on Fridays, is that what you're saying? Or- Oh,
We do
so
4
just
days.
like part-time? So we will, in the afternoon, so I love to have multi-purpose, like use our space for just a bunch of like electives and after-school programs. But right now we're filling full-time seats only. But if, for example, she wanted to come to the center to take like a financial literacy class or to take one of our other electives, then we're going to be also offering some of those in the evening as well, if you wanted to do like a part-time thing. Yes, great question. Yes, thank you for asking that.
What's the question?
If your kid is sick, do we do Zoom? We absolutely do. So that's the beauty of homeschool. And even if you travel, we get it. You guys are in homeschool. You don't have to worry about, like perfect attendance. But once in a blue moon, like if they are, then yes, they can jump on Zoom. But for the most part, it's okay to take a sick day or it's okay to take a vacation day. I was just talking to, I think we were just talking about it today about how, oh no, it was a mom that came in yesterday. So this mom pays $18,000 per school year for her 7-year-old. And one of the reasons why they're taking them out is because they said, you cannot, if you have any family vacations or any days off, like don't plan on it. You have to be here every single day. We're not like that, so you do you, and we'll be here. So yeah, sick days. But we also do have, say you're gone for an extended period of time, for like a couple weeks, which you can go ahead and do that, live your life. Yes, we do have Zoom classes that your kids would just be able to pop on as well.
Great question. In the back. That's a great question. Different grade levels, how do we handle that? So we actually group them, and our classes are K through 2, 3 through 5, and 6 through 8. And so that's there with those group of kids. And if we have a student who is really accelerated, for example, I just talked to this mom, her son, he's a 2nd grader, really accelerated in reading. So that's why we call them colors. So the K through 2 is actually orange class, 3 through 5 is green, 6 through 8 is blue. So during the reading hour, he would just go, because he's a little bit more advanced. Again, we don't want to stifle him, but that's how we do it. The great thing is, too, is some of our curriculum, which is iReady as well, we use iReady, that dashboard is created, it's designed specific to that child, so they don't have to feel bad if they're a little bit, behind, or if they're ahead. Wherever they're at, it's going to create a customized schedule for their child. So that's how we kind of work it. Yes, so we love flexible seating and we love recess. So we don't have them sitting for longer than 30 minutes at a time. I don't know about you guys, but I can't do it. I don't want to, these kids who are having to sit for 7 hours, like we're not doing that. So they will do their core classes for about 30 minutes, and they'll stand up, they do activities, very game-based. So when I say flexible seating, we have different sections in our learning centers that they can go, okay, we're gonna go to the beanbag room, we're gonna go read in the beanbag room. We do a lot of walk and talks also, which is where the teacher might be teaching concept, and then they'll partner up and they go for a little walk. Now the great thing about that is we'll give them a prompt, and they get to partner up, and we give them a time limit. So we'll say 8 minutes. So one child has 4 minutes where it's just on me, and I'm talking about what I'm taking from it. And the whole time, my partner can only pour into me and ask me questions about mine. Then 4 minutes switches, and then it's on the next student. This is great because we're also teaching them active listening skills. So to get outside of themselves, learn how to communicate, and also learn how to articulate what they're regurgitating, what they're learning. But we do that often. And then also, I love that question because when you have a small setting, 1 to 10, you can really hone in on how your students are doing. There's some days kids are going to come and they're not going to want to learn.
Or they're going to come in the morning, they're not locked in, or they're tired. And you have to, as an academic coach, be able to see their body language and be like, hey, we're going to switch it up right now. We're going to do something fun instead. So we are very keen on paying attention to how our kids are, but we switch it up a lot. That's a great idea.
Let me answer that. So he asked the question, how do I pull my son out of public school? We're going to give you a ski mask. I'm just kidding. You're going to sneak in there, and I'm just joking.
That's the great thing is partnering with us is we help you do everything. You don't have to be a whiz on the standards. You don't have to know how to teach it. We literally do everything with even teaching you how to, here in California, it's called a private school affidavit, and it's actually listed on the California Department of Education website. And so we walk you through all that. You never have to worry. We help you document. So if anybody's like, hey, what's your kid learning over there? You will know, they can actually rattle it off, but you will also know exactly what is being taught. So we are here to help assist and supplement this.
Like one of the best ways that when we pulled our kids out of middle school in Florida, they were the middle schools, obviously they didn't want to lose the children because they want to keep their funding. And we're like, oh my gosh, and Tasha was like, it's easy, I got it, let me help you. And she made it easy. Like, this is Florida. And then we do it for California, we do it for Utah. So just know this will help you guys and make sure everything's checked off the list so the transition is smooth and easy.
What's that? Oh, help them with that? Are you going to help with the chores at his house?
It's the best.
What's that?
You guys help out with
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So actually, that's what I did when I was at the college, is I would help some get to college, and then also I would help them transition out and get the jobs and get do the mock interviews, things like that. So I would help with the career development as well. And then the year before I moved to Vegas, I actually opened a sports academy down in Cali as well. And this was dedicated to hold back 8th grade football players. And so every single one of them, actually, statistic here, so they all came into me with straight Fs, and they all left me with straight As. And every single one of those students ended up in a private school out in Southern California, Bosco, Mater Dei, Loyola. And I helped them write their essays. I helped the parents, because a lot of these parents, they came from inner city. They didn't know how to find the application process. They didn't know the deadlines. We did all the research for them, sent a mass email, and was like, hey, parents, guess what? The deadline's here. You got to do this, this, this. And we were on it and helped walk them through it, because we're not going to shame the parents either, because they might not know, but we want to set their child up for success. So we walk you through all of that. Correct. Yes, thank you. So they are actually still deemed a homeschool student, and they are technically your responsibility, and it is against the law to pay somebody to homeschool your child. So we do small group tutoring sessions, which we just so happen to teach math, science, social studies, and English. But that's really how it's designed, is we're essentially a learning center is how we operate. So yes, but thank you for bringing that up. The parents, it is still your responsibility to fill out the PSA, and we walk you through all of that. Thank you. Yes. It's included. It's included in the budget. So this is one of the few, actually the first, that we are going to be offering a dual, because we have a sports academy and we have non-sports academies. The Bay Area is going to be our first combined. So this location, we're going to have, if you have an elite athlete that would like to participate in sports, they can attend, and say they have a sibling that is not doing the sports, they can attend the same place. Yes, this goes all the way through 12th. Yeah.
You guys mentioned electives. Obviously, auto shop, body shop, high schools are phasing them out. Do you guys offer
Do we offer electives like auto shop, wood shop, things like so? Great question, and I love, you guys are like teeing me up with all this stuff. Great, thank you. I love it. I'll send you the check in the mail after this. No, so one of the great things about having life skills and connecting them with mentors is they're going to find their niche. So say we have a student that is like, we take them to the auto body shop and they take a tour and they go and learn how to change a tire. We might have a kid who's like, hey, I think this is my jam. So as we start to get into career development and older, so middle school and high schoolers, we would actually find a mentor in the careers that they want to get into. And we would connect them with them, and which we've been doing. And these professionals in the community love it. When we call them, we're like, hey, we have a kid over here that wants to do what you do. They're like, oh my gosh, like a kid wants to do what I do. And they take them under their wing. And we're like, great. They set up shadow days. They set up, come see what a day in the life looks like. So yeah, so if we give them little tastes of a bunch of different careers, and if they want to take something and run with it, we'll go find a mentor to do that. Did somebody else have a question? Answer it? Okay. Anybody else? These are great questions, yes.
Your homeschool teacher, what is the vetting system and qualifications?
That's a great question. So homeschool teachers, what are the qualifications? So, and how do we vet? So it is the most important thing, decision that we have to make is having the right people in place. Now, what I mean about that, what I mean is, yes, is there some level of competency, but are they inspiring? Are they positive? Can they love the kids? Because I don't care if you have a PhD, if you can't inspire my kids, I want you as far away from possible. If you're gonna dim their light, there is no room for you here. So there's not so much weight on what is their degree or qualifications, because I'm not a certified teacher, and my results are through the roof, and I can run circles around certified teachers. And there's great certified teachers that love and inspire, but the difference is, can they love and inspire? If you ask anybody, even as adults, you think back to your favorite teacher is your favorite teacher because how they made you feel, right? You don't remember what they taught you per se, maybe, but you remember how they made you feel, how you walked away. So that's the most important ingredient for us. And then, in addition to that, they are trained by the best of the best. So our director of academics, like I said, Miss Alex, she lives in Missouri, former principal. She taught curriculum. She drove around the state. She flew around the state to teach people. Right underneath her, our assistant director, we just hired her. She actually has her doctorate in education. These women have been in education a very long time. We run under the direction of these women who actually write curriculum and get grants like crazy. So very, very amazing, but incredible women who love so much. Trickle that down to all the staff, the mentors that we have for the students. That is really the icing on the cake. Can this concept be taken and anybody actually go and do exactly what we're doing? Yes, absolutely. But can they love on your kids as much as us? Probably not. I can bet that you can't go into any other learning institution and find a staff as dedicated to our students as much as our elite staff. First one in the Cali. Yes, we represent for Cali, guys. So we have Las Vegas as our headquarters. And we have a sports academy also in North Las Vegas. And we have one in Eagle Mountain, Utah. And we have one in Crestview, Florida, that's also combined with our agriculture and homesteading. We have the ranch out there that we partner with. And we're opening doors very soon here in Freeport, Florida. Destin, Florida is knocking on our doors, but we're telling them to hold off because we're coming here to the Bay. So the Bay Area is next on the dock, and it's gonna be a doozy. We're really excited about it. And a massive online cohort as well from different countries.
Being this is California and we have laws for laws, what struggles does your academy face in getting government interference? Yes.
Zero.
What was it? Repeat the question.
So what struggles have we had with government interference? Zero, because of how we're structured. So that's the trade-off is we don't get government funding. Like nobody's handing us checks. Nobody's saying, hey, you guys are doing a great thing. We're gonna, here's this for electronics. So we don't have that. And this is why it's so important for us to go out and try to find the people who want to help push this forward. That is literally the only struggle. That is why we're an LLC, why we're incorporated the way that we are, because we don't want to sell our soul. We don't want anybody to come in and tell us what we can or cannot teach our kids. We don't want anybody to drop off a book or a curriculum that we feel is inappropriate and conversations that need to just stay in the home, not in our house. So that's how we.
But the way you're structured, it's not a school, right? So
Correct. We call ourselves the academy. We're not a school.
but you're teaching in school math and other curriculum. That's the loophole that you guys have. Because obviously, government is saying this loophole.
No, because we still have homeschool kids. So really, essentially, you're sending them to us for small tutoring sessions. And they can't, so it's really like, it's like going into Mathnasium or Kumon and saying, oh, you have to teach this way. No, you can't. They can do whatever they want. It's like going into a karate studio and saying, well, you got to teach basketball. No, we don't. We don't do that here. So it's the same, but in education. So we get to teach whatever we all decide that we want to be taught there. Oh, question? Oh, yes. Okay, hey, Mary. Hey.
Wanted to, am I on the mic?
Oh, yeah, is that okay?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So yes, hi you guys, my name is Mary Lungy and I am a parent, and thank you to my good friend Fusi for giving me the link so I can have the privilege to view in on what's going on here, this powerful movement of what's going on. More so I wanted to share my story and hopefully to resonate with some of these parents in the room and maybe people who are skeptical or have reservations of taking this leap. And I just want to say that I am a mother of 6. Actually, 6 biologically. I have 6 kids, and then I have plus 4. So I have a house full of all these kids ranging from college students all the way down to elementary. When my kid was in middle school, he was struggling in classes. His attitude was crazy. He was getting into fights at school. I had to sit down with his counselor, with the dean of the school, and the principal. And they still, after all of these things that they presented to me of what was going on with my son, they still said within that same sentence, my son still has the opportunity to walk with his class. In my head, as a mother, you presented to me what's going on with my son, his challenges that he's facing, all of these things that he should not qualify for, but he still has the opportunity to promote with his class. And then that's when a light bulb went off in my head, and I realized that the public school system is not designated for the potential growth of these students. That this is a system that is just, they need their kids to advance. It doesn't matter if they are failing. And that's when I had to take and make the leap of faith and take my kids and homeschool them and put them into and leave them in the trust of a homeschool system, knowing that I can be there to make sure that they are going to hit those accolades, they're going to check those boxes that they need to become better humans for. So I am so grateful. This is not really a question. This is just a statement from a parent watching this for the hour that I've been. I just want to commend Tasha, I want to commend your team. I want to commend you guys for being trailblazers and identifying that there is a need for these programs. After hearing the lessons that our kids will learn, I honestly genuinely feel the price is a great investment for the outcome of our children and their futures. I cannot wait. I clicked as fast as I can on that QR code, and I hope that I make the list, because I'm telling you guys right now, I want to scream it from the top of my lungs. This is such a great investment for your kids. All the parents that are in that room, you guys are very lucky to be invited to a program like this. And that's just all my piece. Thank you guys. Good night, and God bless.
Oh, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that, and thank you for tuning in. I wonder how many people we got. I love to hear stories like that, when stories like that really hit home and remind us why we're doing this. And there are hundreds of thousands of stories like that, how it's affected us. And I love that because Mary decided to do something different, where on the flip side, she had a son who, as she was sharing, maybe she felt didn't earn that. And good on her for saying, no, I'm going to make sure that you earn that, and I'm going to hold you accountable. Under the Bush administration, as many of you guys know, the No Child Left Behind Act, that actually was very detrimental to public school system. So meaning we cannot retain. So a kid can fail every single subject, and they have to go on to the next grade. And it's really like, what are we teaching them? Or I guess, what are we not teaching them? But it's a shame. It's a shame to have that. And to make sure that we're holding our children accountable and loving them and giving them a better space. There's so much power in that. So, yes.
I just wanted to say the reason why I'm here is because my son was in a space like this last year, right? So we went there and it wasn't what, this is what we thought it was going to be, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It was, I don't know, he got by. The academic program, basically it was kids in a room with a laptop, courses, and chaperone. So, and then when he came home and showed me the work, I had to go hire too. You know what I mean? So, because I didn't know the work. And the reason why I'm here is because I have another son coming up, 2 years behind him, and I wanted to find out. And this is what I was expecting and I was looking for, and that I was hoping that my son would have last year, but didn't. So like that, and I really believe people are going to do this because of what's going on in the public schools as far as, again, my son was promoted with straight F's. He promoted straight F's, and the teacher said, that's high school property. And I was like, that's great. So that's why I put my son in that space last year, because we're coming off of the pandemic, COVID, and I wanted to find out if this was a home session, because I couldn't do that after COVID. I could walk out. If you said this was a location, this is home, I would have walked out because I couldn't do it, and again, I commend y'all for creating this.
Thank you. So can I ask you, did it have, and you don't have to answer, but was it a sports academy by any chance?
It was.
Okay.
Anybody can go there, whether you play sports or not.
Yeah. But it was like there was a section of their day that they did workouts?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was plyo and yoga, and then there was
Yes.
a session with training, speed agility, and then weightlifting.
Yes. So, and I asked that because there's a trend in a lot of micro schools kind of like this, and they're built with the athlete in mind. We'll just say that. They're built with the athlete in mind first and not the student in mind, where we're actually built with the student and the person and everything else. And I know that there's a lot of sports academies out there that don't serve their students the best in academics and even, entrepreneurship and whatnot, because I actually tutor many of the students who go to, I'm not gonna say names, but there's one in Vegas that they go to, and they all filter into Bishop Gorman. So it's the same thing, and so we have to basically, they send them there, and then they have to get outside tutoring. So with just understanding the people that are building it also, it's very different. Our goals, for example, for Sports Academy, we don't want them to be multifaceted. We don't want them to just have the highest stats. We want them to look at multiple streams of income. We want to teach them about NIL. We want to teach them how to read contracts. We want them to take a further dive into anatomy class, health and nutrition. Next year, what's coming is we're offering meal plans also for our students. Branding. What does your social media look like? What kind of music are you playing? What kind of words? Are you purposely spelling words wrong on your social media because it's cool? Those are the discussions that we have with our student athlete. Well, all of them, but it's tailored to the athlete. But we also want to make sure that our student athletes are smart, because a lot of them are going to have access to a lot of money. And they need to know how to manage it. And they need to know what their purpose is and their goals are. We don't want them to just be I'm just going to do this. No, you can be a business owner also. You can have many businesses. And you can even be a business owner while you're in high school. So it's a very different approach, I think, because our long game is different. Our vision is different. Therefore, when we reverse engineer it, everything that we do every single day, every activity that we do, it means a lot more. And we're not just trying to check off the boxes, and we're not just trying to load up the classes because we're trying to make a lot of money off of them either.
We got time for two questions. We got one over here, then one over here. Go ahead in the back, please.
So there's not any per se, like,
The question is there any religious background that is taught?
so not like a religious class. However, there's a lot of students that if like a topic comes up and it inspires them to talk about something that happened at church, we're okay with them talking about their relationship with Christ or, you know, their testimony. There's actually even, I think all centers offer devotional in the beginning before they start, where they're like, hey, totally optional, and it's ran by the students. Totally optional, we're gonna have a prayer before we start, before we get into opening exercises. So there's opportunities to do that as well, but we don't teach like a class on religion per se.
My question is, have you started the vetting for the coaches that you're looking for, and when will that?
Have we started vetting for the staff out here?
Yeah.
So we have a group of people that we know very well. We're really big on referrals, and so I think you happen to know a few of them. But, and then we would open it up to where we would love at least one California certified teacher on staff as well, so that if there is anything that we need specifically certified in California, we can use them. But we're gonna start with like the team that we have for now.
Are you asking for a friend or are you asking for you?
She's like,
Awesome. So you'll see like, once we put that link
ready.
out,
Yeah.
and if your heart says, man, I want to be a part of this, then we just ask you just to apply. I mean, we vetted a bunch of the coaches inside of Florida, and you could just tell by meeting with them, we're like, these are our people. They're hungry to coach, they're hungry to learn, they don't want to be in the public schools, and they're already homeschooling and they're already a part of it. So that makes it just a great fit.
And tons of opportunities to work with us as well. Like, we're only so great because the community is so great. Like, we have people who volunteer, we have parents who are like, hey, you should do this and that. We're like, great, do you want to chair that committee? And then they make this amazing event, but there's always ways to be a part of it. Any other questions?
So, yep. Final question.
Yes. Yeah. Are you trying to come to Vegas, girl? Come. Yeah. Yes. You can come tour any of our locations. Oh, and the other thing is too is if you guys go travel somewhere, say for a volleyball tournament, and you're in Vegas and you want to take your whole family, you can actually put them in any of our other locations across the country too. So that's pretty cool.
That's a great question. The reason why Freeport, so Crestview, Florida is on the Panhandle. It's Central Time Zone. Freeport's the next city over. Why is Freeport opening up next? Because all the Freeport people, they go to Crestview and they tour, and they're like, okay, when do we get to open the doors? So you're gonna see this happen in the Bay Area. As soon as we open up the center, and there's some people that just need to see it, see the doors and walk in. Once they can touch and feel it, the next centers will pop up because Freeport is busting at the seams. They're like, we're ready. And they're like, we're ready to build a whole sports center. Like, the parents are all in on it. So great question. I want to just share this in closing. I know, guys, we've gone a little bit long time, but it's been worth it. Yes? How about a round of applause for Tasha? Thank you so much. And for everyone here, I'm going to share this, and then Tasha, I'll let you close it up. Just know this. If your heart, because I know the mind's going to have questions, right? Your mind's going to be like, and I love questions. Questions are great. You should ask questions if you have concerns or like, hey, what about this? That's a good sign for us. But here's what I would share with you. If there's any part of your heart that's been touching you, you're not like, man, I need to look into this. I need to take a look at this. Take out your cell phone, pull up the camera, hit the QR codes, and just fill it out, right? The one on Save Your Seat. The next step leads to a conversation with our admissions and our team. And then you get to vet us in the conversation. We get to vet you. If you're a person who's like, wants to donate, do that or come have a conversation with us. I will say this, I have two boys who are in the school, Israel and Judah, 14 and 11. They begged to be homeschooled. We were afraid to homeschool them. Some of you already homeschooled, but I was like, I work, I got businesses, and their mom's like, I don't know if I can do this. When Tasha came in, like, they fell in love with Tosh, and they love going to school, or we call it the academy, and they're alive, they're thriving. Like, and I get to be a part of their education because I'm like, where are you guys at? What are you learning? And then, they show us and we talk through. And again, we teach a lot in our home. I'll say this, if you feel like you need to take a look at this, then listen to it. Hit the QR code. Again, we're looking to open in the fall. Obviously, we have online summer programs and courses. But just know this, if your child is in with us, which means you're in with us, like, completely different ballgame. We are not a public school. We are not just pushing them from one test to another. We are doing all that we can to connect with them, heart, mind, and spirit, desires, ambitions, and getting them to learn and to grow and to speak and to teach. My sons taught a lesson on Sunday at our church. And everyone's like, oh my God, like everyone's like, your kids are amazing. Like they were teaching the lesson. I'm like, yeah, because they do that at school. And what Tasha talked about, they teach so much at school, at Elite, and then we teach them at home. So our job is to help you. We partner with you in the education. And again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you, Fusi and family, Elite Financial, Matt and PieFest. Thank you for being here. I'm honored. We're grateful. This is just the beginning. And when I say our mission and vision is 500 centers around the country, I can promise you there's a million other ways to make money. This is not the money maker for us. I know because I'm a businessman, been doing business for 20 years. This is a passion project. Yes, we're going to be profitable. Yes, we're going to pay bills. But this is a purpose-driven mission for us, and we are purpose-driven individuals. So thank you so much for being here. I encourage you, just click on the thing. Let's have a conversation, ask questions. We got some goodies in the back, and then I'll turn it over to Tasha just to close this out. Tasha.
Well, that's just it. I'm so grateful that you guys all came and made time to be here. To be able to travel and meet different people. It's one thing for me as a mother to want the best for my children, and it just brings me to tears when I meet so many families who are looking for the best for their children because they deserve it. And your babies are my babies as well. So thank you guys, and you guys have a great night.